Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. It's yeah, it's been a good week and a half. It's meditation retreat is it's always hard. That's the that's the I guess that's the part of it. It takes a lot of it just takes a lot of willpower to stick through it. I really found myself, as always. So, I mean, it was a good retreat. I mean, I think it was good discipline. It was a good balance between discipline and comfort. I have to say there was a good amount of comfort that was provided there. It's different from Thai forest retreats for sure. Welcome back and welcome forward. Thanks, Rachel. And I've spent I've just been in the last few minutes. I mean, kind of prepared what I wanted to say last night, but as I was sitting here this morning trying to figure out like what to talk about, lessons from stillness. It's just like how exactly to apply that to the topic, and I think what I wanted to do when I made the topic was to really get into what was happening in those moments of silence and stillness, and then maybe next time talk about the overall kind of overarching themes of the retreat. So I'm gonna try to do that, and I guess I'm curious how interested. I mean, have you done a meditation retreat before? Like, how long was that? What was your experience with it? What did you discover during the retreat? And I guess, what are you curious about on this retreat? One thing I can tell you about the retreat is that it is from the Sun Song lineage, right? So the Korean Zen lineage that was started by Sung San. Sung San's, kind of a well known Zen teacher and Zen master. One of the things that has made him more well known is that he came to the West. He's done a lot of Zen teaching in the United States and other places to kind of bring more awareness to Zen practice as well. And so, not just there, but here in Asia. I mean, the retreat that I went on was in Hong Kong. I discovered that there is a Korean Zen center here in Singapore, so I'm planning to check that out. I think part of what was motivating was that, and then I see Rachel talking about Vipassana. One of the things that was motivating was that it wasn't Vipassana. It was different. Vipassana is, I mean, I've done the 10-day Vipassana retreat also. It's, I think that retreat, I mean, they allow beginners to go on that retreat, but I really think that's, I mean, this is my opinion, right? I think that's a mistake. I really don't think they should let beginners go on the Vipassana retreat because there's too much depth for someone who's never meditated before to dive into. Even with the meditation experience that I had at the time, it was, there were still some real challenges inside of that retreat. Certainly physical challenges, as if you don't know the Vipassana retreat, and it's not just the Vipassana retreat, although that's what people do tend to call it. It's S.N. Goenka's. This retreat that's run by S.N. Goenka, because Vipassana it's a word that means seeing. It's a Pali word. It means seeing things as they are. So it's interesting because Zen doesn't use the word Vipassana. and it's more about, it's two different ways. I mean, I guess that's what's interesting too, is because the retreats that I've done in the past have all been Theravada Buddhism. So that's the two different. Well, there are three different branches of Buddhism, but you know, it's interesting too. So Mahayana is the Buddhism that went northeast out of India. Theravada is the one that went southeast out of India. So you find Theravada in places like Burma, now Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Sri Lanka. That's kind of where this form of Buddhism has come from, and it's more linked. It's more directly linked to the teachings of the Buddha than anything else. And I guess that's what's been interesting about discovering about Zen and Mahayana, is that that's a different, that what is it? It was like the 10th teacher after Buddha is called Bodhidharma, and this is all new information for me, by the way. Bodhidharma, and I guess I say that as a disclaimer because maybe you already know this story pretty well. Bodhidharma took the Dharma, which is the teachings of the Buddha, and I guess means a lot more than that too, but northeast towards China. And so first into Tibet and then into China, and you see that, it's interesting to watch religions develop as they migrate regionally and pick up little pieces of culture as they go along. And very interesting to see Buddhism go to the West. In America, just how things have changed. And then, so it's like kind of Sung San's teachings go to America, and then they come back to Asia as I go on this retreat in Hong Kong, and see what that's like, to see this kind of Buddhism that has come from Asia, that has been seen with beginner's mind in the West, and then brought back to Asia again. I guess that's one of the... Hi, Charlie. Welcome. Hello, Cece. It's one of the nice things that I can say about retreats in Asia, with mostly... I think a lot of the retreats that I've done have been there have been a lot of backpackers who show up to do the retreat. And of course, I don't, nothing wrong with that, but it's the level of commitment to the retreat is different. So here, going to Hong Kong, where it's mostly Hong Kong people, in fact, it's all Hong Kong people with the exception of three Westerners who including me. So that alone was interesting, just to kind of experience it from this kind of cultural lens, going from east to west, back to east, and seeing what that's like. The teacher is anyway, I guess I'm not on the... I'm kind of drifted off the topic of stillness. So let me kind of, it's natural to want to talk about the retreat a little bit. Let me try to get back and see the notes I've taken and get a little bit... Stillness doesn't give us something new. It shows us what's already here. That is so. In stillness, you just can't help but what happened for me in this retreat wasn't unique. I mean, granted, of course, every single moment's unique, but what I found that I had in common with other retreats was this minimizing, weakening the strength of the conscious mind, and then the subconscious mind just starts to bubble out from the relaxation of the conscious mind. and that's an interesting process. And then seeing thoughts at very early stages. So most of the time, by the time I've apprehended my thoughts, I've already been thinking about something for a long time. Has the thought train has left the station, woo woo, and it's headed on the tracks towards who knows what, right? It's like, this. I look at this painting behind me, and it reminds me of, something. Reminds me of some, let's see, a green place with a blue sky, and I'm just thinking about, wow, the retreat was really nice. There was a blue sky, and we're in the mountains, and it was Hong Kong, and wow, man, I miss Hong Kong. I all those times I lived in Hong Kong, and like the living, going through the mountains, all the hiking I did. Wow, remember that time I went hiking, and I was with my kids, and they were little. And I felt so proud of them, and they're hiking like so well, but then now they don't like, and this is what happens, right? And by the time you realize the mind has wandered, it has wandered really far from what the original thought was. So what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste links into a great cascading of thoughts. And that was, I think that actually is one of the themes of the retreat for me, was just to see how something small, to watch that thought train, to see how something small gets that thought train going, and man, it just wants to go like crazy, and it really takes a lot of effort to keep apprehending those thoughts and coming back. And I say apprehending because it's that becoming aware that the mind has drifted. This is just it's just such a key challenge for my meditation practice, and I think that's a common challenge, that it's very, very easy for the mind to wander, and when it does, it can be very difficult to see the mind come back. So stillness is there. Stillness, and I guess that's another good theme, is that the silence and the stillness and the wordlessness and the lack of an inner monologue is intrinsic to us. It's in there. When you were a baby, you didn't have an inner monologue because you didn't have any language. Language has changed us as a species, right? I mean, we because of our language think in language, and that language brings us away from our original self. And I guess that is one of the lessons of the retreat, is that our true self has no language. And so when we sit and experience the present moment, that's really living. That's living this life and experiencing what is happening in this life, and not letting life pass us up as we experience things moment to moment. And that was the encouraging of the teaching. I think that maybe one of the core teachings in the retreat was to come back to zero. I think that's how the teacher has put it. I'll just write it here with some quotes. I haven't figured out stillness with ADHD and motherhood of littles. Well, Amanda, it's something you have to dedicate to. Jon Kabat-Zinn, the creator of mindfulness-based stress reduction, has said that what he did when he had small children, and it's the same as what I've done especially when my kids were littler, is that I would just wake up earlier than everybody else in my family. So I would set my alarm for a good 30 minutes to an hour before everybody else wakes up. And, that meant, it meant just a change in discipline at night as well. So that I did get enough sleep. But I mean, there was that time for my mindfulness practice. And mindfulness practice is, especially after going deep in this retreat, going deep into those places of non-thinking, of being aware of thoughts, and it just helps so much with reactivity. It's so easy when we're able to see our thoughts clearly. It's so much easier to be able to stop ourselves from acting in a way that isn't helpful. To kind of question, like, what's going on here? Is it possible for me to see things to see this clearly and go, saying what I want to say isn't going to help the situation right now. Taking this action isn't going to help. So, thoughts precede speaking and precede action. And if we can be aware of those thoughts, it can certainly help, and the emotions that come along with them can certainly help us to be a lot more in control of our lives in general. J.E. says, aren't thought trains often the source of art or scientific discovery? Well, you know what? This is what's interesting. Is this? I just have so many eureka moments. It's this stillness, this relaxation of the conscious mind, that like somehow opens the door to something else, and the idea isn't like the teaching here isn't don't follow thought trains. The teaching is don't follow thought trains when you're meditating, right? Like, meditation is a time to do a specific thing. And part of that specific thing isn't focusing on the thought trains. Let's say you've got a 30-minute meditation session. I've given this advice before. If you get a brilliant idea in your 30-minute meditation session, wait until the end to write it down. One, your brilliant ideas are usually not nearly as brilliant as you think they are the moment they show up. And two, if it is that important, you will remember it at the end of the meditation. You don't need to follow a thought train and reinforce it. You'll be like, this is something that's important and I'm going to remember it. And so, maybe, so where's my journal? Yeah. I did my writing in this journal while I was there. That was another thing I think was good about this retreat, is that reading and writing, was not forbidden, which it is in those Theravada retreats that I've been to. Writing in my journal was really helpful in capturing some of what was going on to help me to bring the lessons back to daily life, and that's it. Come back to zero, and then bring it back to daily life. That's the other thing. Yes, got it. I was thinking in terms of creative writing, where you really want to encourage the flow of thoughts, right? And I guess that's what's interesting too, is like if you meditate, if you're writing, you're maybe having a writing block, and you just pause and you meditate for 30 minutes. It really is. The brain has different modes. And when we're in the rest mode, goodness, it really helps when we come back to that being active. When we're resting, meaning, because meditation isn't resting by any means. It's not trying, right? Not focusing on ideation, right? Sometimes that ideation just kind of flows up by itself. So bringing it back to daily life is just something that is so important in our meditation practice. So the things that we learn here, what's the point of doing it if we're not able to apply it? Okay. Gosh, I hardly used my notes at all. But that's okay. I've got next time. I'm going to read Sybil. What do you do if hurtful experiences from the past jump on the thought train? Well, like it's going to happen. If you're on a meditation retreat, you can't help what shows up in the mind. And so the best is to treat it like anything else that shows up in the mind, to meet it with awareness. And that meeting with awareness helps you to come back to zero, come back to the thoughtless mind. So it's just aware that I'm thinking, and then a pause, and then back to the breath. Aware that I'm thinking, back to the breath. It doesn't matter the nature of the thought. So the hurtful thought could potentially be more intrusive. It may keep coming back over and over again. And so this is the beginning. This is how you do it is you work with it as best you can. Okay, I understand that some meditation teachers will tell you just to grit your teeth and sit through it when things are difficult. That's not really what I would recommend. I would, if I were you and it gets too hard, don't try and sit through it. Take a break. Do something else. Do something that can help you. If it's too intrusive, if there's a way for you to find something that is able to get your mind off of it. Although I'll say from personal experience that when hurtful thoughts show up again and again and again, that eventually it can take weeks, it can take a month. Eventually those thoughts start to lose their power. And that's an interesting discovery as well. So, compassion, and Jean says, offer yourself compassion. Yes, definitely. I mean, this is all part of the practice. Being kind to yourself as best as you can as you try to meditate, and as you encounter difficult things in your own mind. Yeah, my pleasure, Annette. Thanks for being here. And yeah, those hurtful experiences do tend to lose their power over time. Let's go ahead and get into practice. So find a comfortable seat. You can feel free to stand up if you want, or, I wouldn't. I think I've said this plenty. I wouldn't encourage lying down. I feel like to get more out of the practice, to be awake and to be alert is it's easier to apprehend the mind when we're fully awake and fully aware. So sit up straight. And see if you can find a way to come into stillness. So, what's that mean? Feel your body. Your shoulders tight. How's the state of the mind? Do you have a label for yourself that says, I have ADHD, I can't do meditation, right? Notice that, bring that into awareness. Because even if you do have ADHD, you can meditate. There's a lot to pay attention to. So notice the body. Once you've found your comfortable position, can you just be still? Your eyes could be closed. You could actually have your eyes partially open with a gaze downward at about a 45-degree angle. And just notice that you're breathing. And this can be our coming back to zero. You'll notice that when you pay attention to the breath, at the core, there are no words. You just feel the belly rising and falling. And there may be words that come up. There may be opinions about the breath. I'm breathing too shallow. It's not good enough. Maybe it's too deep. What am I? It could be all kinds of commentary. See if you can let go of that commentary. Just experience what it's like to be breathing. And has the mind wandered? And mine already has. So I started following the thought train, and then I went, oh, wait a minute. There it is, I'm thinking. So that awareness just helps to bring us back to zero. Go back to the present moment awareness, in and out of breathing. I'll say at the retreat, I found that focusing on my belly was just too big of a region. That it was easier for my mind to wander. So I changed my focus to the sensation of breathing at my nostrils and on my upper lip. Just feeling the air moving in and out. Feeling the temperature of my nose changing from the inhalation to the exhalation. So maybe try at the nostrils if you get distracted too easily at the belly, or maybe they're both hard. And that's the point of doing this practice regularly, so that you can get familiar with yourself, get to know what works for you. So as best you can, keep your attention on your breathing. Keep coming back to the breath every time you notice your mind has wandered. You can imagine yourself. First of all, you are here. There's no need to imagine yourself anywhere else. There's no need to do any visualization, but sometimes the visualization of standing in a train station and watching trains go by helps to remember not to jump on the train. So the train comes into the station. It's there. Don't get on. Just let it go out. That's thoughts. It's easy to get on the thought train. See if you can stay present with the body, with the wordless presence. Cool air in the nostrils. Warm air coming out of the nostrils. We have less than 5 minutes left. So as best you can, just keep the attention at the breath, in the present. When you notice the mind has wandered, go apprehend it. Bring it back to the present. And now the time has come for us to start drawing our practice to its close. So maybe take a moment to give yourself a little gratitude, as building attention in this way is incredibly powerful. So maybe also setting some intention to bring what you're learning on the cushion today into the rest of your life. I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for joining me in this practice. Do apologize a little bit for being a bit more meandering, but I guess I've just got a lot of interesting stuff has come up. That's why I've dedicated 2 lessons to talk about retreat. This one was supposed to be more about what happened inside of me during the retreat. And next time a little bit more about the retreat itself. So I hope that I've kind of done that. I think the 2 keys are coming back to zero. So, I mean, really, if you want to take something away from what the key learnings are, is coming back to zero and integrating what you learn on the cushion into your daily life. Like, those are really the two key things. So can you do that? That is the way to get the most out of the practice, certainly. So Alexa says, I was so busy doing groceries and driving, but I'm happy I got to hear it all, and will practice on my own one at a time when I get home. Thanks, Alexa. And I've got scratching at the door. I guess that means it's time for my cameo appearance. So just hang on a second. The Hawthorne effect sets in, and the normal rhythm of my breath gets disrupted. Thanks, J.E., for sharing. I think more time practice. I mean, I don't know how long you've been meditating. I think that more practice has helped me not to have. And I guess I guess I don't know exactly what the Hawthorne effect is. I always thought that we have continuous thoughts. It's funny because we don't, right? And it's hard to notice. And some people panic too. All right, hang on. Let me get Frank. He just keeps scratching at the door. Some people panic when they don't have thoughts. It's like, because they get so attached to their thoughts. They're like, if I don't have my thoughts, what am I? What am I without my thoughts? Because it just suddenly, it feels different. Our consciousness feels different. Thanks, Gene, for your donation. Our consciousness feels different without thinking. And sometimes it can be scary. So, we are not our thoughts. Our consciousness is independent of thought. And that's very interesting to discover, like, what happens in that space. And as awareness grows, when thoughts are coming and we become aware of those thoughts immediately, it's extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Just to see what you can do and how your life can change if you aren't controlled by your thoughts and emotions all the time. I'm just going to post my course up here if you haven't taken my course. It's a great course. Try it out. I haven't responded to the voice comments since I've been gone, but I'll be doing that today, so I'm just going to be catching up on some of that stuff. So I look forward to hearing what you've said about the course so far. And yeah, I'll be back in 48 hours. Our consciousness is not our thoughts. That's right. Our consciousness is not our thoughts. Boy, what a fun little discovery that is. All right, let me see what the Hawthorne effect is when people are watched, their behavior changes. Okay, interesting. Because you're watching your breath, it gets disrupted. Well, that's the case, right? Watching my breath changes my breath, certainly in the beginning. But over time, as I meditate more, it's easier to just watch without interrupting. The thoughts are not who we are. I love it. The few times I've experienced no thoughts, it's wide and spacious. It is. It is an amazing experience. If you've never experienced it before and you can meditate long enough, and for me, it's usually I need to be in retreat. It's rare that I can get, on retreat this time. Yeah, I did have a few nice long stretches of no thinking, and it feels liberating. If you've never done it, if you've never had that experience before, it's certainly worth giving it a try. All right, time for me to go. I will see you in 47 hours and 15 minutes. Talk a little bit more about this, about more of the nitty gritty of the retreat. What's good, what worked, what didn't work. So come back. I'll see you then. Let's close practice with some well wishes for ourselves and for everybody else. So follow along with me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone who's here today, watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all sentient life, everyone, everywhere in the universe, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks again. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.